In the video, you would have seen that I mentioned about a guy that was killed on our property. The gang that was responsible for that, Theo, at the moment, every Friday, is sharing the gospel with that same gang that did that.
Welcome to Updates from the Field, a production of HeartCry Missionary Society.
Welcome to another update from the field. I'm here today with Mario Maneville from Bellville South in Cape Town, South Africa. And we have worked with this dear brother for many, many years. And we have seen God do some amazing things, and that's why he's here today to tell us about it. So, brother, tell me a little bit about the work.
Well, Bellville South in Cape Town. So, as you know, it's a rough neighborhood that we are in. Gangsterism, prostitution, drug dealing, a lot of domestic violence, those kind of things. But in the midst of all that, the Lord has planted a biblical church and has done some good work through the gospel being preached in the streets of Bellville South.
Amen.
And from door to door.
Amen. Now, recently, I think we made a film here.
Great mercy.
How has that impacted the ministry?
Wow. That has impacted our ministry in a big way. Now, the people of Bellville South, not necessarily, they might not see the video, but a lot of churches from outside of Bellville South have seen the video. A lot have given a lot of messages, sent me a lot of messages, emails, Facebook, all those kind of things, and just praying for our church. And recently we had a lot of visitors coming. One of those visitors was an entire church. So,
Wow.
so it's a new church, church plant in Stellenbosch area, and all of them, about 30 people that came to visit our church, and we had a church was packed with people.
What do the people in the church think about it?
So yeah, everybody's excited.
Yeah.
And if you know anything about our church members, they're all over it, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just good to welcome these brothers and sisters into our church, and to see them come from a nice suburban area to our rough neighborhood to come to our church. That was a tremendous blessing that they would do that.
And
Even
though maybe only a few may stay, because it's easy to visit but difficult to stay, the amount of prayer that it will probably promote.
A lot of prayer. So, in fact, one of the pastors are in constant contact with me. Their church are praying constantly for me, for our church. And not just in our neighborhood, I mean, all over the world.
Right.
People are praying for our church. People
Amen.
have sent messages in. It's just been such an encouragement to hear the hearts of people praying for the work that we are doing in Bellville South, that God is doing in Bellville South, really.
Well, I worry about you quite a bit, and here's why. I know that in your type of ministry, there are no regular hours.
Yeah.
You're living in a place that in some ways is like a war zone. People may knock on your house at 2 or 3 in the morning, and burnout is a real possibility. And so the need for prayer is great.
Yes, the need for prayer is great, and my wife will tell you amen to that.
Yeah, maybe we should have her here right now. Let me ask you, as a minister, but also as a man, do you really think you could make it without her?
No ways. There's no way I can make it without my wife. And me sitting here is because of my wife. Let me just say, the day of my flight, my wife went to hospital. And I wanted to cancel and stay, and she would not let me cancel and stay because the work is bigger than us. And so my wife is a very godly woman. I like to tell people she's much more godly than me. So I'm thankful for the Lord for a strong wife.
Amen. Now
Keeps
tell
me
me
humble.
about the pastoral intern, the training program.
Yeah, this is exciting. So we are planning to plant an Afrikaans church in Bellville South, and you would have known or heard about the story of Theo and recently Cohen. And we are thankful to HeartCry for supporting
I've
those
heard
men.
about it, but tell everyone else just a little bit about Theo and Cohen.
So Theo used to be a gang leader. He used to smuggle drugs, make his own drugs and sell it. Just a notorious gangster whom the Lord has saved, and whom the church, who been discipled into the church actually through our pastor seminars. He came and then later on was joined the church and just been discipled through the church and became a deacon in the church, and he's the guy that's evangelizing in our community now. The people respect him because he's from the community. Amen. And because the gangs respect him because they know his background and they can see the change that the Lord has done. And it's just a bold, fearless brother when it comes to ministering. And just to say, in the video, you would have seen that I mentioned about a guy that was killed on our property. Mm-hmm. The gang that was responsible for that, Theo, at the moment, every Friday is sharing the gospel with that same gang. Wow. That did that. So that's Theo.
And Cohen?
Cohen is another brother, also have a gang-related background, used to be on drugs and all that, but was very heavy in the Pentecostal movement. Actually, he was about to be ordained as one of the bishops, or that they would call a teacher, in the Pentecostal circles. And he also used to come to our pastor seminars. And then the last seminar I came to is one that me and Tommy did on. It was Introduction to Church Planting, and I talked about what it means to have a gospel culture, to grow a gospel culture in your church, and that convinced him that he's on the wrong path. Mm-hmm. And he then came to us, joined our church, being discipled, wow. And he's one of the guys that is now in the pastoral internship. Just a gifted man that loves Jesus, humble. And so, I'm excited about what the Lord is busy doing with him also.
Now, talk to me a bit, because it comes out in the film, and you always talk about it, the children.
Yeah, the children, it's sad when you come to our community, and this is probably the thing that most people that's not from our community, that comes there for the first time, this is the thing that first grabs their attention, is all the children on the street that is having to fend for themselves. So you can find a 3-year-old on the street that already has to know where to get food, know how to survive. So when a child, before a child is even a teenager, that child has committed several crimes already. And so they get drawn into the gangs. And in actual fact, the gangs are their heroes. And we want to change that. Please do pray for our children. We are busy starting a children's program to reach those kids between the age of 6 and 11. We want to reach them, mm-hmm. because after that they've already done things that they cannot be changed.
Explain that a little more to me, because I know you. I know the culture of your church. I know that you are gospel preachers. No one can accuse you guys of not preaching. You preach all the time, anywhere. But talk to us a bit about being that kind of preacher. Yeah. You recognize the need to build relationships with these kids, and try to help. I mean, most of them are not going to know how to read. They're not going to know where to be. So talk to me about that.
So a lot of kids that are not going to school, we want to get them in school.
Right.
But we don't want a worldly guy to do that.
Right.
We want a Christian to do that loves Jesus, where he makes much of Jesus and what Jesus has done in everything that he does. So when I talk to kids, or when the guys speak about, say it's a beautiful day, mm-hmm. who made this day so beautiful?
Right.
Who gave you the opportunity to smile?
Right.
All the good things come from the Lord, from the Father of lights, and he's given his Son to bring us, to reconcile us to him. So everything that we do is gospel-centric. I like to say that drugs, gangsterism, prostitution, all of those things that's in our community is not the big problem in our community. The big problem in our community is a lack of gospel preaching and gospel churches. And so the gospel goes through everything that we do. So reaching these kids is not just to have some social program to get them out of trouble, because they're going to have to go back to those troubles. Right. We want to reach kids with the gospel, and in doing that, it's good for you if I can teach a child soft computer skills.
Right.
And in doing that, show them the goodness and the greatness of God in Jesus and what He's done for us, that it afforded him the opportunity to even have this kind of education. I want them to have different heroes. I want them to see this Jesus we're talking about in the life of the person that's teaching them. And that person communicating with words the gospel to those children.
Now, I know that you guys have already had an impact on children, but what are your plans? I mean, you've done so much already, your church, but you really want to go to war now. And
Yes.
really, so what are some of the plans? What are some of the things that you want to do?
So we've started what we call a gospel worker program, and it's gospel worker because it's centered around the gospel. It's a worker that will be centered around what the gospel is all about. And so we want to start a full-time program where we employ people full-time just to work with the kids. We're going to have different programs, different ages. But the idea is to saturate our community, the kids of our community, with the gospel and give them a gospel worldview, a Christian worldview that will also enable them to get into school and to excel in the things that they do, and to not have their mind only around what is in the community.
Right.
We want them to see the beauty of what God has done, and not just the evil of what the enemy has brought into their hearts.
Now I know that when people see this little interview that we're doing, there are so many, I've met so many young people in the United States who love the Lord. You know, they're 18, 25, whatever, and they're thinking, oh, I want to go there, and I want to do that with you. And that's wonderful, but speak to me for just a moment before we conclude about it's really almost an impossibility, and that those workers need to come from your church.
Yes.
Because this is not a TV show. This is a very dangerous place. Is that?
Yep. Yeah. So the workers that we want are members of our church,
Right.
whom we know, whom we've discipled. You know, those are the people that work. We will not say no to people from outside to come in alongside those workers,
Right.
and learn from them. But we do not want people that will come from a different place, almost as sort of saviors, to come in and we've got the solution, because you don't know our area, you don't know our people, and we need people that will be in the lives of those kids for the long haul, not just for 6 months, not just for a year, for 5, 10, 20 years. That's what we want. We want them to grow, have father figures, mothers, you know, that are believers. That's what we want. We've got enough of, hit and run type of thing, where you just come in and you go, and we never see you again. So yes, we welcome people to come, but we welcome them to come to learn and to come alongside, and maybe they can do this somewhere else. If the Lord has called them to stay, that's great, but you will have to learn from what God has already been doing in our community. Yeah.
Well, in the last few minutes, if you could tell the world anything about the work there, just what would you say? Prayer requests or whatever?
So yes, a prayer request would be, let me just say this first. I want to give praise to the Lord that we were able to ordain 4 new deacons.
Wow.
And so it's amazing. And I wish I had time to tell you the stories of those 4 deacons. It's amazing, but this is what the Lord has done. So we're thankful for that. I'm also thankful for the Lord that we are now thinking of church planting, of planting an Afrikaans church with a guy such as Theo and Kearn.
Explain that for a moment. An Afrikaans church.
Yes.
What does that mean?
So our community is an Afrikaans community, but our church is an English church because we've got 6 different language groups in our church. That's already a miracle.
Right.
All right. So that's beautiful. So not everybody in those language groups understand Afrikaans. That's why we're an English medium church. But our community is Afrikaans, and what we have seen happening over the years is we would share the gospel on the street in Afrikaans. People come on a conviction, and because we're an English-speaking church, they feel intimidated by the English and go to these false churches, and then maybe years after that come back. So our community needs Afrikaans in Afrikaans church that is solid, biblical, and reformed, as our name is. Yeah. So that's what we want, and that's what we trust in the Lord for. So you can pray about that. What I want to say, if I can leave one message to whoever is listening to us now, the gospel is everything. Not social justice, not any of those other things. It is about Jesus, his person, and his work. It doesn't matter whether you are in Bellville South or whether you are in suburban Bliss. It doesn't matter. It remains the gospel. The gospel is what transforms any people. So stick with the gospel.
Amen. Well, I think with that last word, you understand why we are so excited about working with our dear brother in South Africa. I hope this has been a blessing to you. I know it's been to me. Please pray for this work. Pray for all of Africa, but especially this work, that God would not only save people, but sanctify them. And not only sanctify individuals, but transform the entire culture so that it becomes a light of the gospel to the world. Thank you.
Amen. Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Updates from the Field. To learn more about HeartCry and to view our other productions, visit heartcrymissionary.com.